El Salvador was the one place he couldn't be sent back to, and then of course that is the place he is sent back to. Really undermines the question of due process in this case, and that's why you have even conservatives on the legal side saying that this case needs to be watched very carefully to see how the administration deals with it. From the Democratic side, though, what we had yesterday was Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland. He met with Kilmar Abrego Garcia in a hotel in El Salvador that comes after the senator was denied initially access to the prison where the Maryland man is being held. Images of the meeting were first posted online by El Salvador's president, who has rejected calls to return Abrego Garcia to the United States. Right now, it's not clear how the senator managed to get the meeting last night. Van Hollen posted on social media that he had spoken to Abrego Garcia's wife and that he would provide more details when he returned back to the U.S. The White House then in turn responded to that post, calling the meeting truly disgusting, and continued to characterize Abrego Garcia as a gang member, despite, as Joe said, there's no clear evidence that he has ever been affiliated with any gang. El Salvador's president then took a sarcastic tone himself in his social media post, writing this: Kilmar Abrego Garcia miraculously risen from the death camps and torture, now sipping margaritas with Senator Van Hollen in the tropical paradise of El Salvador. We should just note, fact check, it's unclear what they are actually drinking. NBC News has reached out to Senator Van Hollen's office about this tweet. El Salvador's president later added, now that he's been confirmed healthy, Abrego Garcia gets the honor of staying in El Salvador's custody. So, Joe, I read there's a very interesting interview with Jack Goldsmith, a law professor at Harvard, that's been done in the New York Times. It's pretty lengthy. It's a podcast, but it's worth reading, particularly this section on this, just for the scenarios in how the administration is going to handle this one, how the Supreme Court might handle this, if this goes back up to the Supreme Court. But it looks like in this case, so far it's been a little murky on both sides. But if it comes to a clash, how does that end up? Is this a case in which the Supreme Court would be prepared to order the White House to have this man returned from El Salvador, or do they choose to pick a fight over something that they feel is a clearer issue?
Well, I mean, you know, the thing is, the Trump administration has a lot of issues where there are people who are unambiguously gang members, people who unambiguously committed crimes, people who unambiguously would be so-called sort of poster child for these, what they're trying to prove here. Instead, they have a man here who was sent to prison, a man who the evidence that sent him to prison, where he was in the United States supposedly a gang member, it ended up being from a detective who was suspended. It was got clothes that he was wearing. It was also, again, the conflict between the hearsay evidence. Even had the court, again, this is the most important thing, in 2019, the court let him go. Never charged for a crime. The court released him and gave him a special protected status. It's rarely given in America. And the special protection status says you are allowed to stay in America. You are not. The U.S. government is not allowed to send you back to El Salvador. Now, that is just clear cut. And it was in 2019. It wasn't in 2023 during the Biden administration. It was 2019 during the Trump administration. And the Trump administration let the ruling stand. They did not appeal it because they knew that Garcia was standing on firm legal ground. So Garcia stays in America. He reports to his immigration officer annually. He becomes a member of a union. He's a worker. He's a father. Again, and you have the court saying, U.S. government, you cannot deport him. And again, the Trump administration in 2019 went along with it, let it stand, didn't appeal it. So this whole idea that, oh, he's a gang member, we all know he's a gang, no, he's not. It was never proved, never proven. And You know, David Ignatius, I just want to say again, on that front, never proven, but has been proven. What has been admitted by the federal government is they made a mistake. That's number one. I want to talk about, though, foreign leaders, though. And in this case, we'll talk about the president of El Salvador. And I just think it's curious that foreign leaders often make the same mistake that, and I know you've heard it, and I've heard it, somebody gets elected president, and everybody in Washington, D.C. for about 6 months thinks, well, this person's going to be president forever. And we've got to move all of our policy. And then about 6 months in, you're like, oh, wait. Yeah, gravity. Yeah, it still exists. Political gravity still exists. The contempt the president of El Salvador has for United States rule of law, the mocking of people in the United States, it's as if somebody in El Salvador hasn't told him that there are going to be elections a year from now. And I think most smart money right now would say Democrats are going to do pretty well. So Democrats will be funding whatever aid El Salvador gets. And I find foreign leaders make this mistake time and time again. They have this myopic vision. This is happening in America right now. American media exaggerates this, makes it seem far grimmer or far more, intense than it actually may be. We better put all of our chips on this side of the table. And then they find out a year and a half later, they're dealing with the other party when it comes to funding. I'm just curious your thoughts about what you're seeing, the contempt out of El Salvador for a president who, whether he likes it or not, a year from now is going to be depending on Democrats most likely for funding and aid.
So, Joe, President Bukele was a tough guy, disdainful of law and normal procedures before Donald Trump ever got to the White House in his second term. That's who he is, and there's a growing movement of leaders in Central and South America who are similarly taking very harsh stands against gang members, cartels. That's just the way the South and Central America is rolling right now. I think what's really striking about this case is less about what's happening there, which has its own momentum, than what's happening here. I think we are heading into one of the great legal and constitutional events, I don't want to say crises, of my lifetime. Reading the appellate opinion that Judge Harvey Wilkinson issued last night, talking about this case, I've rarely seen more brilliant and thoughtful language in a judicial decision than this. He says that we are, I believe his language is, grinding irrevocably towards a confrontation between the branches of government. He tries to speak sympathetically to the executive branch. He speaks to the judicial branch that he represents. But you couldn't ask, I wrote to a friend, 100 years from now, people will read that decision as a model of clarity in crisis. And it reassures me that our judicial system is as intact as ever, that this is going to the Supreme Court with, I think, more and more clarity about the lawlessness of the executive. And that in that sense, we're heading toward this crisis, not with Trump on the rise. We watched a segment of Trump that we began this show with. Trump is backing away. It's a classic Trump. Well, I don't know much about this. That's what he says when he's about to lose. He just, it's not my problem. I'm looking at others. So, but I urge viewers, if you have a minute, take a look at that appellate opinion and tell me if you don't feel better about the country when you read it.
Well, the judicial branch is a step forward, and again, it's pretty unambiguous. Again, in 2019, judge ruled he couldn't be taken out of the country. Trump administration then obviously agreed. They didn't appeal it. Trump administration this time said, we made a mistake. And again, it's just like the Signalgate thing. Know when to say, hey, we made a mistake. We're going to bring him back and move on. I don't understand, because you see, the thing is, What the White House is trying to do, well, some of the White House at least, is trying to paint this, oh, these are left-wingers. I mean, this is MSNBC and CNN, this is New York Times editorial. No, it's not. It's Joe Rogan, right? Joe Rogan has gone out there and saying, what's going on here, man? I don't understand this. You have Ann Coulter talking about deportations of people because what they said politically. She said, again, Ann Coulter. I thought we had a First Amendment, Ann Coulter said. You've got the voice for the right wing, the National Review, just eviscerating the administration and the Justice Department and Marco Rubio on this Garcia case. You have Murdoch's Wall Street Journal editorial page constantly. I mean, this, again, why fight on a ground where you're going to lose? Like, this is, I guess some people inside the White House are thinking, just like they did at the beginning of Signal Gate, oh, these are just lefties that are, no, man. You got town hall meetings where you got Chuck Grassley in Iowa, and he's in the middle of Iowa. And you got people yelling from the audience, what about that guy in El Salvador? Are you going to bring him back? That's in the heartland of Iowa. And those weren't lefties. We saw. At least it's on video. And then you even had trade unions now throwing their political weight. I mean, because actually they call Abrego Garcia a brother because he was a member of their union. The Maryland man was in the first year of a sheet metal workers apprenticeship when, mistakes happen. He was mistakenly deported by immigration enforcement. Now his union, the International Association of Sheet Metal, Air, Rail, and Transportation Workers, want him back. And last week, the president of North America's Building Trades Union received a standing ovation when he called for Abrego Garcia's return. Watch this.
You want to build a $5 billion data center? Want more six-figure careers with healthcare retirement and no college debt? You don't call Elon Musk. You call us. North America's building trades unions. And yeah, that means all of us, including our brother, smart apprentice, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who we demand to be returned to us and his family now. Bring him home.
Gene Robinson, I mean, just not a fight. They need to be fighting. They're wrong on the law. They're wrong on the facts. They're wrong. Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of fights to win here. This, as we've said on this show every day, is a political winner with Americans as far as getting, we've all said it, getting violent gang members out of this country. We've said it from the very beginning. There are fights to be had on this issue politically that they can fight and win. It's just that one of them, is it? I mean, when you see images like that, when you have Joe Rogan, when you have all of these other people on the right or some on the far right saying, come on, deport them. We want them deported, but do it the right way, the way 9 Supreme Court justices are saying you need to do it.